Hi, good morning. This is Solway 17 Carlisle. I'm just going to show you a little bit of an upload to do with building alcove cupboards. This is a fireplace, and previously we had a freestanding TV unit here and a little table with a light on it. And over in the far corner we've got, in the other alcove, we've got a little sideboard which is very nice, but we're going to rearrange things. So I've made a start and I'm taking up the flooring at the moment. It's basically a laminate flooring that we're going to replace anyway. So I'm just making a little bit of an area here to start the build of the alcove cupboard. This is not an instructional video. I'm by no means a tradesman or anyone with huge skills, but I thought I'd put this on YouTube to give people a perspective of how somebody with reasonable DIY skills can go about this kind of work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on with building the plinth and the base units, and then progress from there. I've done there's a lot of resources on YouTube, and I want to thank really people that have put lots of information up there, and they've been the inspiration for doing this. There are 4 of them. Peter Millard and his excellent YouTube, Gid Joiner, or Gid, G-I-D, Gid Joiner, Gosforth Handyman, and one very nice upload from Freebird Interiors. So those 4, big shout out to them, thanks very much. Let's see how we get on. So here you can see I've made the plinth. It's been made out of 3x1 redwood timber. It's just butt jointed and screwed and glued. I've put it into the position, and what I've done is I've taken a bit of time using these packers to level it up, make sure that everything's plumb, and then I've secured it to the floor, to the concrete floor, with these metal brackets, and then just made some little plywood feet here which I've screwed at various places around the perimeter of the plinth, so that when the weight goes onto here, the weight will be taken hopefully evenly around the plinth unit. So everything's level. That took a little bit of time doing, and just to note, when my base units go on here, they're going to be sticking out over the end of this plinth by maybe, depending on where I can get back to against the wall, by about 1 centimetre or 10 millimetres, and then that will enable me to put an MDF cover over the top of this plinth, so that I get to cover over all these screw holes. Also, just over in this little corner here, I've cut away the skirting board, and I've left a little gap there so that I can put some 6mm MDF down there as well to finish off that little corner here. So that's that one done. The next job is to get on with the actual units and get them in place. So far so good. So last time I filmed a couple of days ago, we're in the house, and I've now got the frames in place, the plinths, and I'm just cutting the 18mm moisture resistant MDF into to make all the carcasses for the units. So that's been quite a heavy job really. I've got through 2 and a bit sheets, and I'm on to the last little bits of cutting now. So this is my sort of working plan really. So there's the fireplace with the chimney breast going up here, and these are the alcove cupboards, one on the right hand side here, one on the left hand side. and just some dimensions of the cupboards that are going to go in. And here I've got like a kind of cutting list, so where there's a tick it means that I've already done, in this case, the base for this bit, the base for that one, and so on. So I'm just in the process of doing the tops now, and they're these I'm going to do those out of a couple of these strips for each cabinet. So that's how I'm kind of progressing things really. Just got these top rails to do now, and then it's the next step will be a bit of a challenge really, because it's all about assembly, and I'm going to have to use a biscuit jointer and glue and screws and get these units, all these cut board together. So I'm just assembling all the bits for the cabinet. There's two side pieces here, and I'm just making sure that they're matching and there's no discrepancy in the size anywhere that might throw the finished piece out of whack. These are the two top rails, and again just making sure that they're absolutely spot on in terms of the dimensions. And then this is the base piece, so this is going to be for a 800 wide unit. And here again is the the cutting list, and this is the area that I'm concentrating on now. I've got an 800 unit, a 400 and a 400, and all of the components have been cut and ticked off. You may have noticed two metal strips that are on the inside of the cabinet. These are actually bookcase strips, so that I can adjust the height of the shelves within the cabinet. They're a bit of a fiddle to fit, and I had to route out these grooves to make sure that everything was below the surface. But once I'd got that done, it meant that I could then get on with the rest of the assembly of the cabinet. I've just speeded up this little section of the video here. It shows constructing the cabinet, putting on the glue, and also making sure I've got all of the biscuits into the joints there. I'm also going to be drilling pilot holes for the screws, and finally screwing the whole thing together. So it is a little bit routine and repetitive, but it is important to get these stages just right so that the cabinet is nice and strong and firmly held together. The screws were particularly important in my case because I didn't have any clamps big enough really to pull the cabinet together. So it's the screws that did that job, as well as giving it some structural integrity once the whole thing had dried out. There it goes. I'm a bit short of clamps. These clamps up the top here, they're just holding these 90-degree brackets, little L-shaped brackets that I just made on the bandsaw, and they're an attempt to try and keep the frame square, so they're not actually pulling the unit together. And I haven't got any clamps that will fit across here, unfortunately. So I'll just use screws. I'm screwing and using biscuit joints. These are number 10 biscuits. So there's biscuits holding the thing together, kind of giving me a bit of stability and helping me with the lining up the joints. So I've used some biscuits and it seems to have come together alright. So I'm going to leave it now, it's going to dry off. I'll come back to it tomorrow. And I think what I'll do is I'll make the units and then sand them down and then paint them. And then obviously I've got the doors to do. So it's 7:10 in the evening. I've been in here since maybe 9ish, off and on. It's taken me a full day to get this little unit together. So, labour intensive. Okay, we'll finish off at that. Well, thanks for watching part 1 of my alcove cupboard construction, where I've shown you how I've gone about making the actual cabinet. I've found out that it is reasonably possible, so long as you've got the tools to cut good straight lines and keep angles square. It is possible to come up with some reasonable cabinets at the end of the day. Please look out for part 2, where I'll be describing how I went about making the doors and also fitting the cabinet top. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more content, consider subscribing. Thanks for looking in, and see you next time. Cheers!